What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the first episode in our coverage of Kona Day 1. If you haven't heard of this game, neither did I. It landed in my email, I think, 2 days ago, and I installed it, and I started playing with it. I was like, wow, I kind of want this to have a place on the channel, even if it's just like a little series. It's just something to show off the game. So they sent over a preview build. The game is not completed yet. It also has not been released yet, and so I don't think we can do the entire first chapter. However, there is some fun to be had here, and there's definitely some mysteries to be solved. It's an open-world, sandbox, survival mystery game, and I played for about 2 hours last night without realizing where the time went, so I think it's safe to assume that I was having a good time with it. As of right now, who are we? We're a private investigator who's been sent to the north. It's Lake Atamapek in Canada. We're super far north, trying to figure out, we gotta get to a meeting with a mining magnate who's afraid people are scheming to kill him. The game has lots of ambiance, lots of theme, lots of narration and things of that nature. Just note that you may see things as we go through that are not completed yet. You may see minor bugs and things of that nature. That's because this is a pre-release build that hasn't even been given to the general population. This is kind of like a YouTubers only build, I guess, just so we can get our I almost said my hands wet with the game, but who gets your hands wet with the game? My feet wet. There we go. That's the saying. So let's go meet with our mining magnate friend, shall we, and enjoy the narration of the narrator, who is called such because he narrates as we play the game. Hooray for him. Driving controls feeling pretty good. I actually really like driving in this game, and it is a major feature of the gameplay. You will be driving all over northern Canada trying to figure out what's going on, and things only get weirder and weirder.
Was not made aware that winter would come early this year. The North made clear who was the boss up there. Snow, which didn't care much about the date when it felt like dumping its first load of the year.
Yeah, I feel like the weather transitioned really, really quickly. It was like, sunshine, daisies, everybody's having a good time. Snow!
Hamilton had recently acquired a few local businesses, but the last straw was the reopening of a mine, which gave rise to a wave of protests and threats from the Cree people.
Hamilton is the mining magnate that we're... See, I got rid of the tutorial because I just didn't feel like it added anything aside from like a little bit of story. So anyways, Hamilton is the guy that we're going to meet with. He's a mining magnate in the area. People are very divided on him. They don't know whether they like him or not because he's buying up all the land and opening mines. Take it nice and slow. Ooh, hey, slow down, Mr. Magoo. Stay on your side of the road.
In circumstances, Carl reckoned that a good number of people must be feeling compelled to oppose Hamilton in one way or another. So far, only the industrialist's house had been a target, but soon enough, Carl thought, the target would become the man himself.
Man, for a second there, all you can see is white. That shit's kind of terrifying. I grew up in a place where it's like 1,000 degrees every day.
Several hectares of virgin forest blanketed in eternal snow. The Manistan region, comprised mostly of bellowing caribous and inviolate lakes, wasn't exactly touristic. It was said that its lands had harbored the Cree people for thousands of years. But since the Industrial Revolution, it seemed that all they harbored were metal mines.
I've never driven in snow before. I have a confession to make right about now. I don't think I've ever driven in snow before. Where I live, it's like desert and like 1,000,000 degrees.
Souls claimed the territory surrounding Lake Atamapek. It could barely be called a village, an enclave, or a settlement perhaps. Anything that illustrates middle of nowhereness bordering the backwoods of the Cree Kingdom.
I know how to put snow chains on just in case, but I don't think I've ever driven in snow. This would be troublesome for me. I'd be a little bit worried. I'd be like, I have a confession to make to everybody in the car. We might die. Something bad might happen. I'm not good at this. See? I'd be like that guy. I'd be all crashed into a tree or something. I don't know if he's actually crashed or if he's just parked over there. There's been a park and a crash is really only intent, isn't it?
Since 1941, the general store provided the populace with various goods that couldn't be plucked from nature itself. William Hamilton had recently taken over the place. In fact, the whole region was now his.
Okay, so this is the location at which we're supposed to be meeting with Hamilton so that we can begin our investigation into who is harassing him, or at least who means to do him grievous bodily harm, or at least grievous residential harm, since I guess his house has been graffitied and messed with. There's lots of stuff in this game that I highly recommend you take a look at. Megamar, that sounds familiar.
Gilles Lachance owned the general store. That is, before Hamilton got his hands on it.
So apparently Hamilton bought the general store as well. I know all too well. My family is kind of backwoods from South Carolina and Arkansas, and I know all too well the type of mindset that occurs when people try to come in and change things for folk that live kind of deep out there in the hills. I assume the same thing is probably happening out here, because this does not appear to be a well-habited area. Although it looks kind of scenic. It'd be a nice place to visit were it not storming and blizzarding right now.
A milkman had to drive by every week to fill the bottles. The fresh milk indicated a recent visit.
We're not dressed all together too well either. From what I could tell, we just got blue jeans, boots, and a jacket on. This could get real cold. 1553. Everything is going to be in French. I can't read French. So every now and again, there are going to be things that I just sort of miss. I mean, I can go out on a limb for some of these things, but most of it's translated, but like the little signs and whatnot are all going to be in French. And so if I miss anything, just be aware, my knowledge of French is non-existent. If it was in Espanol...
What happened here? Things got pretty rough, and not a trace of Hamilton.
If it was in Espanol, I'd be in better shape. I closed the door because I'm not a savage. I know I hate when people leave the door open when it's cold outside. It'd be like 30 degrees outside, and somebody's standing there with the door open trying to have a conversation with you all day. Like, close the door, come in or go out. I think that's probably my parents' fault, though. They used to lose their minds when you let the heat out. Is that a key?
Finding a key is easy. Finding the right keyhole, not so much.
What's this box have to say? Okay, so it just made like the noise of shining. Like the noise of what I would assume shining sounds like. And not of like the Jack Nicholson version either. Good old sugar and caffeine. Man, they got a survival stock in here. We got like peas. We've got what looks like Clinton soup. I don't know what Clinton soup is. I have no idea. Is that tomato soup? I don't know. Looks like we've got some tins of crab in here. We've got some tuna. Okay, just in case you're into that sort of thing. I do like tuna, but I don't eat it based on ethical grounds. Various canned fish. In general, I avoid seafood as a whole. What is this?
You don't leave ammunition out in the open like this. Was Gilles Lachance that careless?
Huh. Looks like we can go in on these drawers over here, but let me kill the music real fast. I don't think I feel like dancing a jig right now. Looks like we can fiddle with this ladder. Yeah, sure, send it on down the line. That's what it deserves. Ooh. We got a medical kit. Sweet. I assume that at some point that will become useful in a medical capacity.
The snowstorm pummeled everything in its path. Carl was not surprised when he heard no tone.
Okay. Oh, we can actually investigate the typewriter. I don't think I've ever used one of these old typewriters, but I think they go left to right. So if we go like 1254 or 1234, and then... Hey, there we go. Yeah, I've seen them before, but I've never used one, so I was kind of just guessing right there. Let's see. It looks like we have... You can press F and it'll give you like a translated, or at least a refonted version that'll be easier to see if you're having trouble picking your way through any of the written works in this game. We got Louis Bly. He's got 1352. We've got Regent Blouin. We got Wilfred Roy, Saul Marceau. I don't know how this helps me. It just looks like bills of sale. Or at least it's like a customer list with where they live maybe for deliveries. Yeah, Rue de la Chapelle. I know for a fact that means that it's a road. I think I heard that in some random thing that I was reading. Somebody lived on like Rue de la Mer or something like that. Is that cigarette for free? I guess not. Let's check these drawers and see what we got in here. Apparently that's a drawer full of dirt. I got a drawer of dirt. I got a drawer of dirt. And guess what's inside it? Some duct tape, always useful. Some matches equally useful. Pencils and rubber just in case you feel like doing some writing. Maybe doing something journalistic. Something literature-like. Looks like more packs of cigarettes in here. Instructions for usage of the cash register, I think. Oh, to open the cash register. Punch the price. 2 numbers, press sale. Turn the crank 3 times. Okay. As with all things, if it doesn't give you what you want, turn its crank a little bit and maybe it'll brighten its mood slightly. We're not going to take the cash, I guess, because we're not a criminal, so I guess I'll close that off and we'll just be mentally aware of the fact that there's stuff inside the drawer that we could make use of. And I suppose we'll investigate the back of the shop now, since we've already had our fun in the front of the shop. I love that. Everything in this game is like interactable. The light switches work. You can pick up objects off the ground. Ooh, are those what I... Apple Jacques. I do like Apple Jacks, so Apple Jacques are probably good too. A cereal box. Well, there's plenty of food over here. If we end up having to survive, we'll probably be alright. Nails, screws, bolts, and such. I see things we can loot on the other side. What is this? What is that? I don't know what that is. Hold on. Let's go to our menu. So in our menu, we've got our health, we've got our stamina, we've got our cold, and we've got our... I think that's how much weight we can carry with us. The objects we can use, we got a map, we got a journal, we got a camera, a Polaroid camera, we've got a flashlight. This game is set in the 1970s, so if you see a lot of antiquated technology around, that would be why. It's not because we've gone through some crazy time warp. It's because it's 1970, although I guess you could sort of argue that video games can be a time warp of a sort. I wanted to look at, I forgot why I came in here in the first place. We got usable items. So cigarettes and first aid kits. I don't think that's what I need. I love the radio menu in this game, by the way. It feels very, very nice, and I like the way that it functions. Got a fire starter. Oh, it's a fire starter. Okay, so that's what I came in here to look at. Got matches, Polaroid, garage key. Oh, it's labeled the garage key. Well, I guess that makes it kind of simple to figure out where it goes. What are these? Mailboxes?
By all appearances, the general store also served as a post office. Letters and packages awaited the locals' daily visit.
Okay.
Jumping from that height was akin to tempting death. Perhaps that man on the snowmobile had seen enough of this world already. A nice picture of the Magasin Lachance store, seemingly taken the day it was first opened. It feels frozen in time, from an era long forgotten. Amateur hunters showing some pride in having killed a nice pelted beast. With men like this roaming the area, wolves would become extinct within 10 years, Carl thought.
It's a major problem, and then the government makes it worse by... So essentially what happens... It's happened in the United States, so I assume it happened in Canada too, as people hunted out wolves here. And so I think we had to import wolves that used to be native to the area from Canada, and then they released them down kind of like Arizona, New Mexico-ish. But... because there was too much food, like deer aren't culled properly, the wolves like exploded out of control, and so people are mad at the government for reintroducing the wolves, and it's a mess. It's a political issue down there. It's a political issue. It's also a political issue up in the Dakotas and places like that. Huh. Oh, this place is a mess. That's what it said. So when we clicked on the box, it was the floating letters that we didn't see. Got some maps over here. We have one of those of our own, just in case you wanted to look at it. There it is. We can actually use this map. I think this is all the area that we have access to for right now. Just kind of like this one little street and then the side street. But that should be enough to where we could get a pretty good preview of the game and have some fun. I love the way that it marks your sight line on the map when you move that around. That's such a cool feature. And then he pulls the map back into his chest when you face certain directions like that, which is also kind of cool. So let's see here. What the hell is this thing?
Carl was used to strange phenomena. But a chunk of ice like this? As if an iceberg came out of the ground? That was a first.
Okay. It's a little odd. I don't think that ice is supposed to radiate with an unholy light like that. I'm a little concerned. Light switch right there. Did we miss anything? I don't think that we did. Like, I feel like there's a little button over here. What does this do? Pump number 1 you can activate, but pump number 2 you can't. Let's go have a look at that real fast and see what that changes for us. You can run and sprint in the game. However, we're indoors, so we will conduct ourselves like gentlemen for right now. Oh, we can fill a gas can using it. Okay. So that's pretty sweet. I'm going to leave that alone then. Let's go back inside because it's freezing out here. Freezing. Been watching too much Scrubs lately. Is there anything along the top shelf that we want? I don't see nothing. Alright, let's keep on trucking then. Out the back door we go. I think we've looked at just about everything in here. I don't really see anything else. So it looks like oh, you can open the fuse box. That's kind of cool. So it looks like we can shut down the power to the store. We can shut down the power to the garage. What does that say?
The note explained that both the garage and the store shouldn't be supplied with electricity at the same time.
Okay. Now, it looks like we got a main breaker switch right here that controls the rest of the fuse box, so conceivably when we twist that upwards it should flip both those, I think, although I'm no electrical genius. And it also looks like it has like a generator setting maybe? Let's have a look here. Oh shit.
Carl proudly remembered an essential fact of his Survival 101 class in the Army. Wolves won't approach crowded areas. Or was it about bears?
I was gonna say, I got bad news for your survival class. Exhibit A.
Carl was no electrician, but he could identify a wiring problem when he saw one.
Repair the generator. So it looks like it needs an adhesive, and it needs something else random. I'm not going to dedicate the adhesive to it right now, just in case we end up needing the tape. Might need it for something else later on. I don't know if that's going to be an item that we have multiple times. Yay, kick the tire! The ancient Canadian sport of kicking the tire. You didn't know about that one, did you? My encyclopedic knowledge of Canadian pastimes. No, I'm just messing with I'm just bullshitting because it is freezing out. Oh, look, there's wood over here. Anybody want some wood? I am king of the woodpile. Look upon me, Canada, in despair, for I am king of the wood. And this, I would assume, would be the garage, the key for which we found. Oh, we can search the trash cans? Okay, I'll search the cans on the other side when we get done here. We're gonna need a flashlight. Okay. So the power appears to be on. I don't know what's going to happen. It says something bad would happen if we had power to both the garage and we had power to the main store done. But hey, I'm not going to stress about it right now. Let's look for something we can use to... Shit.
It sounded like an explosion had occurred in front of the store.
Was that a gunshot? Hold on. Let's go take a look. I don't see any. Oh, the power line's down. Okay, yep. That'll do it. The power line's down, so that explains the lights going out, too. Alright. That flashlight back out, and we'll continue our search here. Got a jar of nails. Some needle nose pliers. Always useful. Apparently wrenches and screwdrivers aren't the sort of thing that we're looking for, so we're just going to leave those.
Looking at the controls wouldn't make the lift budge. The poor thing needed electricity to work.
Man, he said that so condescending right now, like I should have known that. I didn't even know there was a lift, though. I just wondered what the button was for. Luckily, through his condescension, we have determined that there's a lift underneath the car. Oh, there's a crowbar. The crowbar is stuck. Okay. It's a place down south. Way, way, way out in the desert called the Crowbar. It's just like this bar that sits out in the middle of nowhere with a gas station across the street. Pretty good food, though. Not a bad place. Used to swing back through there when I was mapping. So what do you figure the chances are? Yep, it's the pliers that we needed. That's what I figured. Hey, we're victorious. Let that Jenny hum. And then I would assume we go around this side. Both breakers are still on, and so we would swap this over to generator power. And we should be quite solid. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. That was an accident. Turn that back on. I wanted to close the door. So if we go back out to here... Will the jack work now that we've got it, like, fully powered? Let's have it a try, shall we?
It wasn't working right, as if the car lift needed more power.
Maybe the generator's maxed out. Let's try shutting down the power in the house, and then we'll come back out here and see if we can get it to work. Hamilton.
It was in the air. Seems like some villagers barely tolerated each other.
Hamilton, let it be known, you're nothing more than a brigand, a robber, a garbage hoarder, a viper, a leech, and a monster. You're holding a knife at my throat. It's too bad for me, but... I guess that's all we got. Either they didn't finish the note, or it's torn up and doesn't have the adjoining piece. Let's try turning this off right here. So if the store's lights are out, let's see if that gives us enough juice to get the car lift going. Be careful with car lifts. I don't know. Guy I know died under a car lift. He was under a jack, technically. The jack snapped, dropped the car on him, and cut him in half. Right in front of his whole family. Gnarly as shit. So, you know, be careful.
A crowbar. Useful tool to pull out nails, or to carry, just in case.
Yeah, it looks like we can give the crowbar a swing. I don't know what we'll accomplish with it, but looks like it does something. Huh. Well, we're just about out of time for today. This game is called Kona Day 1. I look forward to seeing you all in future episodes. We'll probably only do 4 or 5 episodes because, frankly, this is a preview. There's not a ton of content in right now, and I think the developers are playing their cards close to their chest because they do have a release coming up on Steam and, in general, I think on Indiegogo and a bunch of other things in the coming months. I think this one is slated for the first quarter of 2016 for a final release. So anyways, I'll see you in the future episodes of our preview of Kona Day 1. Bye, everybody.